Dana White just announced it. Arman Tsarukyan ain't gonna like it, but it doesn't matter because we do. Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight UFC Championship of the world, kicking off the new era.
Arman Tsarukyan is crying in a hotel room as we speak. I just saw Arman Tsarukyan sink to his knees in a Target somewhere. This is really, really bad news for him, but really great news for fight fans.
Dana White is facing criticism after announcing fights for the first Paramount UFC card. The matchup of Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title at UFC 324 draws backlash from fans and analysts, who question why Arman Tsarukyan is once again left out despite being the #1 contender.
Obviously, you just saw Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the interim title. Earlier, Topuria posted, I'm dealing with some personal problems, so I'm not gonna fight the first quarter. So the winner of Gaethje versus Paddy will be the interim title, and then they will face Topuria.
Arman Tsarukyan also expressed confusion and disappointment over Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett being chosen as the main event for UFC 324. Arman wrote on X, "Make it make sense." However, Paddy Pimblett is very happy to get this opportunity and is setting big goals for 2026. He is focused on winning the interim title first, then plans to beat Ilia Topuria to become the undisputed champion. After that, he wants to face Arman Tsarukyan as well, promising to take him on if Arman actually steps into the cage.
First ever time when I fought in January, the earliest I've ever fought. It's going to ruin my Christmas dinner and my birthday because I'm 31 like 3 weeks before it, but it's all going to be worth it when I lift that real title above my head and Paddy the Baddy is a world champion, and 2026 is going to be the biggest year of my life. I am coming for that interim title, then I'll be making it the undisputed title when I come and beat Ilia Topuria up and take the undisputed title. And then little posh boy, if he manages to fight in that time, because he likes sitting out and saying he's got a sore back, if little posh boy fights in that time and keeps his ranking, I'll punch his head in as well.
Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani criticized the Gaethje versus Paddy interim title fight, questioning why top contender Arman Tsarukyan was left out. He called the matchup makeshift and compared it to a BMF title, saying an interim fight wasn't needed since Ilia Topuria already reclaimed the belt. Helwani argued the focus should have been on a proper #1 contender fight later in the year, and questioned what Arman must do to get a title shot despite his dominant performances against Dan Hooker.
The #1 contender at 155 pounds is a guy named Arman Tsarukyan, and he's not involved in this fight. This is a makeshift fight. This is as prestigious as a BMF title. God bless. I said I wanted to see Paddy fight for the belt. God bless. But this is a bogus fight, and it's insane to me that it is headlining over Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. On paper, Paddy vs. Justin is a fine fight to determine the #1 contender to fight Ilia and or Arman. Ilia won that belt back in June. I don't even think you need an interim title fight. Honestly, it should have been the co-main event, 5-round #1 contender fight, Ilia versus Arman, second half of the year. What's the problem with that? And now what you just said, because he reiterated this in the Instagram Live, the winner of this fight is going to fight Ilia. What happens to Arman? Arman's going to have to fight who? What is going on? What does Arman Tsarukyan have to do to get a shot at the belt now?
Ariel Helwani pointed out that Arman Tsarukyan earned his shot by patiently recovering from an injury, then dominating Dan Hooker with an impressive ground finish. Despite this, he's now left in limbo, not even next in line. Helwani criticized putting Justin and Paddy in the interim title fight and having the winner face Ilia, calling it insane, and said it's shocking that such a fight is headlining the card.
Sue the guy. He sat patiently, he went out there, he steamrolled right through Dan Hooker. He did exactly what he had to do. He did what Khamzat and Islam did not do. He finished his opponent on the ground in dominant, impressive fashion. And now what is he? Now he's just floating in the wind. And he's not even next, apparently. Now, of course, everything can change. Nothing really means anything. They make up the rules as they go along. But to put Justin and Paddy in the interim title slot and then have the winner of that fight Ilia is insane to me. And worse than that, because we have seen interim title fights that have felt a little fugazi. I cannot believe that they are headlining this card with that fight.
Eric Jackman called the Gaethje vs. Pimblett interim title fight one of the most meaningless in recent memory, comparing it to Gane vs. Lewis. He added that the situation is worse because Arman Tsarukyan is clearly ahead of both fighters. Eric Jackman said, Gaethje and Pimblett are fighting for one of the most insignificant interim titles. Maybe that's redundant in recent memory. This is Gane Lewis levels, made much worse by the fact that Arman is so clearly ahead of both. Luke Thomas also slammed the UFC's matchmaking, agreeing that fans' reactions are justified. He believes decisions like this gradually weaken the product, prioritizing profit over matchups that genuinely determine the best fighter.
You are going to hollow out your product doing shit like this long enough. It's not just that you're not meeting expectations, you're just not. The fight business has always been one of manipulation. The fight business has always been one of the promoters massaging stuff to get what they want. It's a part and parcel of what they do. This is hardly some new practice, right? But it feels like there are moments in time where you can't really f around with that. And that's kind of what we're getting here. We're getting a lot of that. We're getting fights where there's obvious ways to go a different direction and they just don't go that direction, clearly because they've got some other aim in terms of how they want to generate revenue. They're just extracting wealth out of the bout rather than matchmaking for a real clear sense of who's the best.
On the other hand, Justin Gaethje is quite excited to get another chance to become a champ before retiring. He reacts to his fight announcement by showing appreciation for the chance to begin a new partnership with the UFC and Paramount Plus. He is confident going into his interim title bout against Paddy Pimblett and is focused on delivering another unforgettable performance. In his mind, this is another opportunity to show that he belongs among the most thrilling and elite fighters of this era. Justin Gaethje said, "What a ride it is. So thankful for the opportunity to start off this new partnership with the UFC and Paramount Plus. Perfect dance partner for another unforgettable night to prove once again I'm one of the best and most exciting fighters of this era. I'll be ready to go." On the other hand, all this drama started when Ilia Topuria decided not to fight in January. Ilia was scheduled to fight at the first Paramount UFC card, but he revealed he won't be able to defend his belt in the first quarter due to personal issues. Sources say he's dealing with a divorce and hasn't seen his daughter for some time. Ilia plans to resolve these matters first before returning fully focused to defend his title. Ilia Topuria said, "I won't be fighting in the first quarter of next year. I'm going through a difficult moment in my personal life. I want to focus on my children and resolve this situation as soon as possible. I don't want to hold up the division. The UFC will make the matchups needed, and as soon as the matters are resolved, I'll let the UFC know I'm ready to begin my return." Max Holloway responded to Ilia Topuria's tweet, showing support for his tough situation. He mentioned he knows firsthand how hard it is to fight while caring for your family and kids and wished Ilia well in dealing with it. Max Holloway said, "Sorry to hear, champ. If it's what I'm hearing it is, I know the struggle firsthand trying to fight while protecting your kids. Hope all goes well." Ilia Topuria also thanked Max for his concern and kindness. He said, "Thanks for the support, brother. All the best for you and your family." Michael Bisping admitted that Ilia Topuria is going through a difficult time outside the octagon due to a divorce. He said, "Such personal challenges are very distracting and make it hard to focus on training and preparing for a fight." Bisping added that he wished Ilia nothing but the best.
Ilia is going through a divorce right now, so of course that's a tough time for anybody, and it is very, very distracting. You can't focus on a fight in the training camp, certainly an opponent, when you're going through a divorce. So certainly not going to talk about that any more than what I have done there. Ilia, we wish you nothing but the best.
However, TJ Dillashaw believes Ilia Topuria is avoiding a fight with Arman Tsarukyan. He noted that while Ilia is currently one of the most skilled fighters in the UFC, Arman poses a real threat with his size, strength, clean boxing, and strong grappling, making it a difficult matchup for Topuria.
Ilia has expressed interest about moving up and maybe trying to face Makhachev. How realistic is this scenario, do you think? Does it leave Tsarukyan in limbo at lightweight?
Stupid. He's not moving up. Like, come on. There's too many horses in the stable at 170. Yeah.
Is he trying to run from Arman? Is Ilia running from Arman?
I do think so.
Oh,
okay. That's good.
So.
Hello.
With that said, I think that Ilia Topuria.
Who wouldn't want to run from Arman? Have you seen him before?
I'm running from him currently. I don't even know the guy I'm running from.
I do think Ilia Topuria is the highest skilled fighter in the UFC right now, but I do think he is threatened by Arman. Arman's big. He's strong. He's great at the weight class. class. His boxing is clean, great grappling. It's a tough fight for him to where he can go to 70s. Maybe he doesn't get the win. It doesn't make sense to me. The only fight for Ilia Topuria right now is Arman.
Furthermore, Dane Thomas praised Ilia Topuria for handling his situation responsibly. He said many fighters might have held onto the belt and made everyone wait, but Ilia allowed others to compete for the interim title instead. Thomas also admired that Ilia recognizes his personal problems would affect his performance and chose to step back rather than push through. He wished Ilia success in resolving his issues so he could return fully focused to fight.
Well, first off, my hat goes off to Ilia for doing that, because a lot of fighters would be like, no, I'm going to hold on to it and make everybody wait. So my hat's off to him for pulling that, the Khalil, not Khalil, but the Jamal Hill and the Yuri Prohashka, right? Like saying, right. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let these other guys fight for it and let them shake things out the way it needs to shake out. So even though he's not relinquishing the belt, he is letting somebody fight for the interim belt. So my hat's off to him for doing that. And when you have personal problems, you're not going to be able to fight well. And he understands that. So hats off to him for also recognizing that and not just trying to push through, because typically we'd be like, oh man, he should be fighting anyway. But the fact that he's recognizing that he's not going to be able to give us his best work and he needs to sit out for a while, hopefully things get better for him. And I'm wishing him all the luck and success in getting those things behind him so he can come back and fight.
Dane Thomas said, the situation highlights the direction Paramount is taking with the UFC, focusing on fighters who will entertain fans. He explained that it's an unfair burden for fighters to not only win but also take risks and cause damage to please the audience. He noted the grappling-oriented fighters like Arman Tsarukyan may not get the same fan attention as fan favorites like Justin Gaethje, even though Arman would take a fight for the interim belt to fast.
Well, I know someone who's not happy, and I'm sure that's Arman Tsarukyan, right? I'm sure he believes he deserves to be in this fight, and he was saying even after the win, like, didn't take any damage. If they want me to fight in January, that's when he's being asked about Ilia, but I'm sure if they called him to fight either of these guys for an interim belt, he would have done it.
And it's unfortunate too, because we put this burden on these fighters, but it says a lot though. It says a lot about the direction that Paramount wants to go with the UFC, really. It says that, listen, we want guys that are going to bang. And it's an unfair burden that we put on fighters to say, we want you to win, be successful and win it. And you also have to entertain us by putting your neck on the line and taking a lot of chances and taking damage in the process. Because when you got guys like Justin Gaethje, that's what they do, but they're fan favorites. A guy like Arman Tsarukyan might not be a fan favorite because he's so grappling oriented.
Dane Thomas believes the Paramount wants the UFC to focus on attracting viewers now. He noted that without attention, the sport can't grow. While Arman Tsarukyan deserves a title shot and his time will come, Thomas explained the UFC is currently prioritizing fighters who entertain, and those who don't focus on entertainment might face obstacles.
So it's kind of telling of where the direction of where they want the UFC to go, because they're trying to get eyeballs, man. Without eyeballs, the sport goes nowhere. So for Arman Tsarukyan, he might have to sit out for a little bit, but he definitely deserves it and his time is coming. It's just, I think right now Paramount and the UFC is kind of establishing that, we're going to want some entertainers in there. And if you're not entertaining us, if entertainment is not a part of your priority, then that might be an issue.
Meanwhile, Adam Catterall believes Arman Tsarukyan deserves a spot in the interim title fight. He suggested that Tsarukyan might have been passed over because he once withdrew from a title fight in short notice, and because there are bigger names in the division. Catterall added that business decisions are taking priority over sporting merit. Arman Tsarukyan should be in the interim title fight, in my opinion. He isn't, and this is a complete guess because he pulled out of a title fight on less than 24 hours notice, and there are bigger profiles than him in the division. Business has surpassed sporting meritocracy. On the other hand, Michael Bisping called the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje matchup extremely competitive. He noted that Gaethje, though 36, is consistently exciting and powerful with strong wrestling, striking, and leg kicks. Bisping acknowledged Gaethje's shocking knockout loss to Max Holloway, but said that's not typical for him. He also praised Paddy Pimblett, highlighting his dominant win over Michael Chandler, an undefeated UFC record, calling him a real threat in the fight.
But this is a very, very tough competitive matchup. Now, Justin Gaethje is no spring chicken. I think he's 36 years old, but you know what you're going to get with Justin Gaethje. Yes, of course, against Max Holloway at UFC 300, he got knocked out. He got embarrassed. He got face planted. I tell you what, it was a shocking scene, okay? But that's not normally what happens with Justin Gaethje. He is one of the most exciting fighters. They do call him the human highlight reel for a reason. He's got great wrestling, but the boxing, the striking, the leg kicks, the punch power that he has, I'm telling you, this man is no joke. And neither is Paddy Pimblett, right? We saw last time against Michael Chandler, he is the real deal. He absolutely smoked him. He's undefeated in the UFC. He put a beating on Michael Chandler.
Michael Bisping thinks this fight represents Justin Gaethje's final opportunity at a big win. He noted Gaethje has already had 2 title shots against Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. While facing Paddy Pimblett is an easier matchup compared to Makhachev, Bisping highlighted the challenge Pimblett poses. He predicted Paddy will try to move around the octagon and avoid standing toe-to-toe with Gaethje, who has serious knockout power, but warned not to underestimate Pimblett. Overall, he called it a phenomenal fight.
And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril. That's all I'll say about that one, but that is a phenomenal fight.
Moreover, MMA Guru predicts Paddy Pimblett will beat Justin Gaethje by mixing grappling and striking while keeping distance, unlike fighters who trade punches in the pocket. He noted Gaethje is nearing the end of his career. Guru also expressed sympathy for Arman Tsarukyan, who may now have to fight someone else, suggesting the scheduling choices might explain the decision, though it leaves Arman in a tough spot.
I reckon Pimblett's beating him. Mixing up the grappling and the striking, staying at range, not being in the pocket with him like a Chandler would be, like a Fiziev would be. I reckon Pimblett's going to beat him. Gaethje coming towards the tail end of his career. I just want to mention now, Arman Tsarukyan is... this is tough for Arman. Okay, he's probably going to have to fight someone else. He said he would be on this card. I don't know if they then called him and he said, no, I can't be on that card, and that's why they've done this. If that's what comes out from this, I guess it could be a bit more understandable, because otherwise it would have been Nunes Harrison to main event, and we just can't have that.
MMA Guru called the Gaethje vs Pimblett fight absolutely insane and said it's a huge matchup with a lot of hype. He joked about Pimblett magically rising to number 5 in the rankings, calling it Scou's magic, and noted that this leap earned him an interim title shot. As an Englishman, he's excited for Pimblett, but pointed out that Gaethje had demanded a title shot or threatened retirement, and the UFC ultimately gave him what he wanted.
This is insane. Gaethje versus Pimblett is an absolutely insane fight. I'm looking forward to it. This is a massive, massive matchup. Ton of hype on the line, but I do want to mention, Pimblett has floated up to number 5 in the rankings. Magically. Scouse magic, dude. Scouse magic. Don't ask for that on a street corner in Liverpool, by the way, but this is some Scouse magic. Okay? He just levitated his way into an interim title shot, which is insane, but fair enough. As an Englishman, I'm all on board with this. But, you know, it is what it is. I think he'll beat Gaethje, but let it be known, Gaethje said, I'm not fighting ever again, and I'll retire if you don't give me a title shot. And they fucking bent the knee. They bent the knee to Justin Gaethje.
So that's all we have from today's video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about this fight card in the comment section, and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about the latest UFC content.